Even though the world has changed significantly since ancient times, humans still have an innate fascination with creatures that are not only fantastical, but seemingly impossible in the real world. But while many creatures like unicorns, dragons and basilisks are simply part of folklore, there are some monsters and beasts that our ancestors believed were actually real, and we're glad they're not. Here are the top 10 most dangerous creatures in mythology that you're glad aren't real. Hydra. According to Greek myth, Hydra was a serpent-like creature with many heads. You'd think that would make it easy to kill, but each time Hercules chopped off one of its heads, 2 more grew back. In an effort to defeat Hydra once and for all, he used fire and sword until it stopped growing new heads. After he cut off its last head, Hercules dipped his arrows into its lethal blood so they'd also grow 2 heads every time he shot them at enemies. Nowhere is safe from Hercules. See what we mean? The guy didn't mess around when it came to giant killer snakes, or any other sort of giant animal for that matter. Scylla and Charybdis. The legendary sea monsters Scylla and Charybdis were said to live on opposite sides of a narrow strait near Sicily. According to Homer's The Odyssey, Odysseus was forced to sail between them on his voyage home from Troy. The 2 monsters appeared as a large female human with 6 bird legs and 12 dog heads, and a giant male with 6 bear legs and 1 human head. The fate of ships caught between them was to be bitten by either heads or tails, depending on which monster they faced. Basilisk. The basilisk is a creature often found in European myth, but also occasionally in Asian myth as well. It was said to be a large and extremely venomous serpent with deadly breath, and look of basilisk means to petrify or turn to stone. When it hatched from an egg, it was able to kill anything near by looking its victim into its eyes. Unlike other snakes, which slither on their bellies and use their forked tongues for smell, the basilisk has 2 legs, wings and walks upright like a man. The only way anyone could kill it is by using a stick made from a weasel's foot. As long as you held on to it, you were safe from its evil stare. Chimera. The chimera is a fire-breathing monster, part lion, part snake and part goat. The origins of chimeras are generally traced back to Greek mythology, but they are also present in other ancient civilizations such as India and China. It is said to be completely invulnerable except for its liver. It's believed people used its image as a heraldic device when they wanted their enemies to know just how powerful they were. Given what we know about animals and their tendency for protection of young offspring over all else, it makes sense that someone would try to infuse those instincts into a character meant to inspire fear rather than respect. Medusa. The gaze of Medusa was both beautiful and deadly, capable of turning anyone who looked at her to stone. In some versions of Greek mythology, she was one of 3 Gorgons along with Steno and Euryale, tasked by Athena with guarding an entrance to Hades. The only way to kill her was for Perseus to cut off her head. If he looked at her directly, he would be turned into stone instead. He cut off her head and escaped unharmed. For his troubles, Perseus later became a prominent member of King Acrisius's court, who had previously exiled him upon learning Perseus had killed his daughter. Wendigo. The Wendigo is a creature found primarily among Algonquian Native American tribes in Canada. Described as a tall, thin humanoid with yellowish-white skin who moves quickly and appears to have 1 or more horse-like features, it is believed to live on cold mountain peaks and can cause people to starve for no apparent reason by wasting away their food supplies. The legend of the Wendigo has been known to be connected to mass animal deaths, starvation, and cannibalism among Algonquian tribes. It's often associated with winter starvation and sometimes climate change. According to a legend from northern Quebec, humans would be transformed into Wendigos if they indulged excessively in wild game meat during times when hunting was poor. Minotaur. The Minotaur was a creature from Greek mythology, appearing in Homer's epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. According to myth, King Minos of Crete conceived a child with his wife's head. Minos hired Daedalus to construct an elaborate maze, called a labyrinth. Minos demanded tribute from Athens. Every 9 years 7 young men and 7 maidens were given to him. Theseus volunteered for one of these tributes but killed the Minotaur and escaped before he could be sacrificed. Manticore. The manticore is a Persian legendary creature similar to a large sphinx, having a human face and a lion's body. It has bat wings, and its tail is either end with a snake's head or it might even be all snake. A human face on an animal is always weird, but it's particularly unnerving on such an aggressive beast. Not only are they equipped with long claws and fangs, but they also shoot their poison up to 2 yards away to catch prey unaware. They stalk their victims without detection because of their human face, which lulls people into underestimating them as just another traveler until it's too late. Harpies. According to Greek mythology, harpies are ugly creatures with clawed hands and wings. They kidnap people or torment their victims until a ransom is paid. Harpies have been featured in numerous works of literature, including Homer's Iliad and Virgil's Aeneid. A typical harpy is described as having bat-like wings, a woman's head with sharp talons for feet and long hair, feathers all over her body. Nowadays, these monsters are seen more frequently in video games than on TV. Dragons. The mere mention of dragons conjures up images of large fire-breathing reptiles and people getting their bones crunched by teeth. The most famous dragon myths come from Europe, including St. George, a knight who defeated a dragon, and Beowulf, who went head-to-head with a bloodthirsty beast. The dragon was so popular it even gave rise to one of history's first fantasy novels, Beowulf.